I would like to welcome everybody to the next lesson. You are conscious love. We are conscious love. This is part of the section of conversations with the Buddha mind. And this part of the course is about changing the way that we think so that we can sit in contentment easier. So part of sitting in contentment can only come from understanding the world differently than most people perceive it today. Certainly that would be the case, right? After all, how can any logical being sit still in a world of good and evil without taking some sort of side? Just logical. You'd want to take some sides if you really lived in a world like that. But the questions start. Are there really sides? And is the world, as some people say, black and white? Is the world good and evil? And we hear it all the time. Even from the President of the United States, right? Always fighting an evil empire. Always fighting something evil. Right? Two states, one thing opposing the other. And we see it all around us, right? This has built our world, this way of thinking. And because of this, we live in a world full of competition. Government is competition. War is competition. Right? Business, competition. Religion can be competitive. Sports and entertainment. Everything is about being the better man, the better woman, right? Stronger, smarter, faster. Competition. But this is a world where energy is working against energy, right? Creating always less energy, right? And a lower vibration. It's just math, right? We cannot work against each other without lowering the energy in the room. We're lowering our vibration. Our potential is so much higher, but our method is creating a low energy output and low vibration. A teacher once told me, there is only one angelic white color that rules us, and that thing is love. And any blackness felt was simply a shadow caused by anything opposing what we love. Right? So the world of black and white is simply a byproduct of loving something dearly. What we love we consider beautiful. And darkness are those things that threaten our love. But this only happens when we love some things, right? This only happens when we choose what to love and we leave other things behind. So what happens when we love everything? A good question. Which can be a product of seeing things as indivisible, right? If we see things as indivisible like the Atman mind does, like the Buddha mind does, we would love everything the same, right? We would love everything. Then what color would our world be? All beautiful. All beautiful. No shadow of darkness at all. But how can we think in such a way as this when we are surrounded by a world of low vibration? It's a good question, right? But there's an answer. A good answer. Think of love as light and how we can create two far different environments, two far different states of mind, depending upon how we use this light. If we and others like us shine our light in narrow ways, we are creating both light and darkness. And we are shining our light in narrow ways on only certain things that we love, choices. And then we would compete for those things with others who are shining their light on our thing as well. We would live in a world that would be a crisscross of light and darkness, of energy working against energy, of competition and constant fighting, the constant need to protect. And there's lots of thinking in a world like this. Opinions are so valuable. So valuable. But all these things are creating a lower vibration because it is energy working against energy. And this is a result of how we love things. Still love, though. Still an expression of love. State number one. State number one is the mess we see today as our world. Now state two. What if we did not concentrate our love on only a few things, and instead expanded our love to fill the whole world? Then we would live in a world of only bright and constant light. A world of constant love, right? One state. Not darkness and light, only light. A single state. And just as many lights crisscross to create a lower vibration in the first example, imagine how bright this world would become when individuals began to drop loving in their narrow ways to love expansively together. Energy working with energy, creating something more than was there before. Now energy is working with energy, creating a vibrant world, a world of cooperation, not competition, right? Higher vibration. It could come in no other way. So there are two states that can be built with love, right? One is a low vibration event of competition and argument, where we live by choosing what side of an argument we wish to support. And when there's such full of thinking and opinion and argument and competition. The second is a high vibration event created by cooperation, by loving all things as if they were one thing. Right? A high vibration event of cooperation and acceptance leading to constant and permanent contentment. Never change, because it's a single state. Right? Two different worlds, but essentially the same raw materials to build either of them. So everything is here for our solution. We need nothing else but to change the way that we think, to change the way that we love. Not that hard, really, because we are, in fact, conscious love. That's what this lesson was about, right? You forgot. We are constant love, conscious love. I just discussed this in a recent video, how our world is nothing more than a world being mishandled by the most loving and highest potential beings that I could possibly think of, ourselves. In fact, we are conscious love, and I don't mean it just in a spiritual sense. We really are conscious love. I mean, we can't stop loving things. Take a look. You are conscious love. You know, when I first was introduced to this concept, I didn't believe it. It was so foreign to me. But a Buddhist teacher once said to me, he says, everything you do Everything you have ever done started out by loving something, and you are conscious. So you are conscious love. It's not just a spiritual concept. I remember turning to argue with him, but he was continuing. He said, even when mad, even when upset or frustrated, that these were simply other emotions linked to this love, right? That it was an act of love being threatened or otherwise pushed out of shape. And that really love was the only emotion that we had. That simply love was moving well and it was pure love. Or love was moving poorly, which began to create the other feelings of anxiety or frustration or the need to control, that kind of thing. All love, right? Either working or stretched out of shape. And the Buddhist monk used to always say that it was constant love. Think of it as constant love, or conscious love. It doesn't stop. It's always something that's happening. I questioned him at the time, saying, well, then why is the world such a mess? You know, a bunch of beings all conscious love, you'd think it'd be pretty good, right? But he said to me, he says, conscious love was not enough. Until we understand our most powerful state of conscious love, it would control us, right? And we can see examples all around us, although we don't need to pick on our neighbors, do we? Right? We ourselves are plagued by urges, right? Urges that are stronger than our own, you know, real conscious thinking, you know, and we do things that we don't even agree with sometimes. We cannot turn away from old habits easily. Our lives become repetitive, often centered around these urges and habits, right? Our lives become narrowed to the love of only a few things and further slowed by addiction. And we become so focused on loving those few things that all the other things we could have loved, like our neighbors, now stand in our way, right? Our conscious loving state now enslaves us to a narrow path and holds us in place through repetition like anchors, right? We don't seem to realize it, but we've stopped being free. We can no longer move other than just a few moments here and a few moments there. Our loving state, pure conscious love, now divides us from our neighbors, now divides us from freedom. So this really is the world we see before us now, isn't it? Those enslaved to the narrowed, loving state so powerfully they're willing to harm their neighbors to get to the things that they want, right? It's like an itch they can't stop scratching, even though they know it's causing them harm in some ways. But each one is conscious love, nonetheless. Even by their narrow examples, the state of constant love is obvious. But I remember again arguing with this teacher and saying, but it doesn't feel like love. Where's the love? He agreed. I remember he said it was subtle, that's for sure. He says they are in love with things, but they're in things from the past. And love of the things in the past does not feel like love in the present. It feels like loss or depression, or it can feel like sadness or anger, right? Or he said they are in love with things in the future things and future thoughts. But the love of the future does not feel like love in the present, right? It does not feel like those things. It feels like anxiety and the need for control. It feels like dominance, and we are always rushed from one thing to the other. Love only feels like love in the present, he said, when you love things in the present. Kind of obvious when you think about it. He says, but our love is focused on the past and the future. Consequently, the present now feels like loss and depression, sadness and the need for control, domineering and rushed. All just love in the wrong place, he would say. In the past and the future. He says, clearly we must focus our love in the present if we want to feel love now. And he said, oddly enough, that's the only place where people were, because the past and the future do not truly exist. Yep, he was right. And he learned this from the Buddha, because the Buddha was a master of the state of constant love in the present. His love was always in the present, and people could feel it all the time. And that's why he was rewarded with such crowds. Right? And he used his present love wisely to plant good karma, right? And in that way, his present environment of good karma, right, would slowly become his future, right? Even better each day, because he was planting good karma, so that his safety was really taken care of by the love that he was showing to others. Anyways, that's the message that I had today about we are conscious love. And like I said, when I first heard this concept, I didn't really believe it. But now that I look at the way people are and how they're motivated, it's quite clear we are conscious love, and we are that's our purest state of mind. But we are conscious love doing something, right? And for that reason, we are not conscious love, standing still or in a contented state. Often it's conscious love in a discontented state. But nonetheless, it was a great relief to me when I found out we were conscious love to begin with, because then we had a chance, right? We had a chance to do the right thing. So that's it for tonight, guys. I will have more videos out soon about meditation. And again, we thank you very much. And thanks again. Good night. Namaste. Namaste.